Hi guys, and welcome back to another video game with the powers. I'm Jake, and today we are taking a look at my top 10 favorite board games in our collection. We have made it to the end of the list, guys. I hope you have been enjoying this content. We are also back from vacation. I can't remember if I made the announcement or not, but the past 2 weeks, me and Sierra have been taking our honeymoon, traveling around Greece and in the islands of Greece there, and so we've had a very nice time. That's why there really hasn't been a ton of interaction and responses to a lot of you guys' comments in the channel. We've been on vacation, and I was trying to think of some ways to get videos done while I was also on vacation to continue to get content, and so this list made things very easy because these videos are super easy to make and I was able to get them out to you guys. So it seems like you guys have been enjoying it because you guys have commented a lot on some of these, so I'll be getting to a lot of those responses over the next coming days. We also unfortunately walked into a very hot and humid situation here. Our AC is currently out right now, so things are nice and steamy in our room here, and so unfortunately I'm gonna have to move through this top 10 video very quickly because, man, I am sweating already, and these two big lights here do not help it at all. But without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right in, taking a look at my top 10 favorite board games in our collection. Starting out with number 10 here, we have Mythwind, okay? Mythwind is a cozy, cooperative campaign / narrative game. This is for ages 14 plus, 1 to 4 players, around 30 minutes or less, but really the time here is very flexible. And essentially what this narrative is you guys are going to be working together to kind of build this city here of Mythwind. And so there are 4 different characters in the core box that you can play as. Each character, what I love, has their own specific rules and their own specific jobs. So like you have a farmer and a hunter. One of these people is a merchant, and I can't remember what the other one is off the top of my head. And so what's really cool is like the farmer has his own mechanics, the hunter has his own mechanics, so it's very Merchants of the Cove, I think that's the game, I can't remember, where those characters have their own kind of mini games and things like that. So that's what's really cool about this game, and then you guys are working together to build this city. Or this town out, right? What I love so much about Mythwind, it's a very laid back and cozy type of campaign game, right? There is no, I think we've only completed 1 full season. I don't know how many seasons there are, but what it seems like to me is there's no real end to the game. This is a game that you can play forever, just continually building out this city. Now there's a certain number of cards in the game, so I think once you get through those cards there might be an, again, I could be totally wrong, but what I like is you don't really get punished for a lot of your decisions, or at least we haven't so far. So it just seems like a very friendly, cozy type of game where it's laid back, like, hey, kind of like a Minecraft or a Stardew Valley type of game where you just kind of get on and you just play for fun and mess around with your character and do certain things and enjoy the experience of the game. So that's what I really enjoy about Mythwind here. But this is my 10th favorite game in our collection, Mythwind. Alrighty guys, moving on to number 9, we have the Castles of Burgundy Special Edition coming to you from Awaken Realms. Castles of Burgundy is that classic dice rolling, dice chucker type game where you're going to be rolling some dice, using those dice to collect different tiles, or using those dice to place tiles out into your duchy. is kind of what they call them. And in this special edition version, you know, they have miniatures coming to you from Awakened Realms. Awakened Realms has put that production spin on it, which just takes it to a whole nother level with the colors and the components and things like that. This includes all the expansions to the game. This includes the new Vineyard expansion. Now, I do not have the acrylic tiles or the acrylic tokens. I have pledged those in the reprint. I'm interested to get those because I've heard a lot of good things about that. But I think what I just enjoy about this game is this is one of those classic games that's been on my list for a long time, but I never committed to it. I'm glad I waited and got this special edition because it just makes the game, I feel like it makes the game feel a lot better. But I just really enjoy that Dice. You know, for me, this is a much better version of Dice City. I really enjoy Dice City, but to me, this is a smoother, cleaner, better production, better atmosphere and vibe than Dice City is. Dice City is kind of that rudimentary, flat, bland style type of game. This gives it some more pizzazz, I would say. But I just enjoy the dice rolling and the dice manipulation and all of that different stuff. We have not tried out the new Vineyard expansion, so I'm curious to see how that goes. But this is my 9th favorite game in our collection here, the Castles of Burgundy Special Edition. Alrighty, moving on to game number 8. We have Hybris Disordered Cosmos, okay? And let me zoom out the camera just a little bit, get more of this in screen. Man, this game has rose to the top in my collection here. This is a very new game to the collection, maybe over a month old. I can't remember when I did my unboxing in late June or maybe early June or mid-June or early July. But Hybris Disordered Cosmos here is a 2 to 4 player game, ages 14 plus, around 30 minutes per player. It is essentially a worker placement game where you are going to take on the role of a god trying to battle for Olympus, and so you're going to be placing your god and his acolytes on the different boards and all of these different spaces to collect resources and cards and stuff like that, to put tiles and battles and stuff like that to try and gain the most victory points. Or each god has their own 6 different enhancement tiles. The first person to unlock all 6 of their enhancement tiles is the winner as well. And why I enjoy Hybris Disordered Cosmos so much is, to me, this is a much better version of Lords of Ragnarok, okay? Now, there's a lot of differences between Lords of Ragnarok and Hybris Disordered Cosmos. For example, this is not an area control game where Lords of Ragnarok is, but this kind of gives me that same feel, right? Like dudes on a map, people on a map. There is no area control, so I don't have to worry about constantly battling. I do enjoy the Greek mythology theme a lot more than the Norse mythology theme, but with Hybris, I feel the playtime is a lot shorter. It is a little bit easier to grasp and understand than Lords of Ragnarok is, and I enjoy all the different options that I have available to me, and a lot more of the asymmetric powers with the different gods compared to Lords of Ragnarok, right? In Lords of Ragnarok, you are playing as Norse heroes. I wouldn't say necessarily gods themselves, you know, because you're praying to Thor and Odin and stuff like that. This one, you're actually taking on the role of gods like Zeus, Poseidon, Athena, and so that's much more enjoyable for me. You feel a lot more powerful in Hybris Disordered Cosmos than you do Lords of Ragnarok. Again, those are 2 totally different games, but to me, this is a little bit similar comparison. Plus, I do own all the expansions for Hybris, and those expansions, the solo, the cooperative. This is a lot easier to get to the table, set up a lot quicker, and the teardown is a lot quicker. So for me, this is just a much better version of Lords of Ragnarok, and that's why this is such higher on my list, as well as the theme. I love the theme. I love everything about Hybris Disordered Cosmos. This is my 8th favorite game in our collection. Alrighty, moving on to number 7, we have Chai. And I would say Chai is a resource management type of game. 20 to 60 minutes, ages 8 plus, 1 to 5 players. Like I said, I think this is a resource management type game. Essentially what you're doing is you have the option to either go to the market and buy ingredient tiles or go to a pantry and collect ingredient tokens. You are using these tiles and tokens to fulfill customer orders. And so you're going to put these orders in these nice little teacups, and not a whole lot more to the game than that. Super simple, super easy. I just love the overall atmosphere, the simplicity of the game, the coziness, the comfortness of the game. Now, it can get pretty cutthroat because you can steal other people's customers. Okay, and there is only 5 teacups in a round, so once these teacups get filled up, that's going to signal the end of the round here. But yeah, I mean, not a whole lot of intricacies to the game, just a very enjoyable, nice, easy game, cozy game, great production, great quality of components here, great presentation with the artwork and the overall vibe, a great cozy game that plays really quick, easy to get to the table. My 7th favorite game in the collection is Chai. All right, moving on to number 6, we have Marvel United, and I'm just using Spider-Geddon here as the placeholder. If you've guys watched any of our videos, you will see in the background there are 2 whole Calyx shelves dedicated to Marvel United. We do own the entire Kickstarter edition of the first Marvel United. I missed the X-Men, but have picked up the base X-Men game in 2 of the smaller expansions, and then we have Spider-Geddon as well. I did back the all-in for Marvel United Multiverse, and then went all-in for DC United. Marvel United for ages 14 plus, 1 to 5 players. I would say around 45 minutes to an hour per game. In Marvel United, you are taking on the role of a Marvel hero or anti-hero. You're going to have a deck of cards, and then you are going to be choosing a villain to fight. That villain's going to have his own special mechanics. You are essentially going to be playing cards out in a storyline, and what I love about Marvel United is just the simplicity of the game. You're playing cards, and on your cards there's only 3 icons. It's a punch, it's a move, and it's kind of a star. And so each of these icons do a specific thing, and it's very simple and easy to grasp, but also very challenging at the same time. I love just the variety of all the Marvel characters they have, all the villains to go against, and how unique each of these villains' mechanics are. You have locations that you're going to be moving around, and some of these villains have henchmen and things like that. I was really into Marvel Champions, and then Sierra really didn't like the deck construction aspect of Marvel Champions. I introduced her to Marvel United, and she fell in love with that. And of course, anytime my wife falls in love with a game that includes Marvel, I fall in love with it as well. Now, I'm surprised this is sitting at number 6 on my list. Normally, this would be a lot higher. I think the reason for that here is just the lack of plays I've had on this. I mean, I've only got this to the table maybe once or twice in the past couple months. I've got a lot of other games to the table, so I think that's why this is so low on my list, I believe. Normally, I would say this would be in my top 3. But I think just because I haven't got it to the table, I'm curious to see what happens when I get Multiverse to the table. Is this going to shoot back up? But this is my 6th favorite game in our collection here. All things Marvel United. Alrighty, coming in at number 5. We're gonna have to really zoom out for this one. We have Primal The Awakening. Now, Primal The Awakening is a boss battler game where you are taking on the role of a hunter, and you is a campaign style game or a one-shot scenario type of game where you're taking on the role of a hunter. You will choose your boss or monster that you want to try and hunt. There'll be a scenario set up, and then you are going to be playing cards from your hand to fight this boss. And man, Primal has lived up to the hype for me. Fifth on my list here. This was one of my most anticipated games of 2023. Got delayed, finally got it in 2024. And man, I have been excited ever since to get this to the table. Of course, we have our Primal The Community campaign going on right now, which we need to jump back in and start making some more videos to that, continue that back up. But yeah, this is a big production, a boss battler type game, but I think it lives up to the hype and it is well worth it. It is a huge box, so it takes up a lot of space. Definitely the biggest game that we own, but yeah, I mean, I love the mechanics of the game, how the monsters react to what you're doing with those different behavior cards. The game is somewhat challenging to play solo, but when you're playing in a group, you really have an enjoyable experience. I love the different mechanics of all the monsters. They've done a great job with making each monster feel really unique. I love being able to upgrade your weapons with all the different forges and stuff like that. Just, you know, it was a game that was really well worth the wait, and I'm so glad that I own this game and decided to back it. This is my fifth favorite game in our collection here, Primal The Awakening. Number 4, we have Tamashii, Chronicles of Ascend. And if you remember in one of my most recent videos, I talked about a theme here. And hopefully you guys are starting to see that theme of Awaken Realms popping up in a lot of my top 20 games. Tamashii Chronicles of Ascend is coming to you from Awaken Realms Light. This is a scenario and campaign style game where it's got a cyberpunk feel. And man, this game, I've been playing this 2-player with one of my friends, Andrew, and me and him are just having such an enjoyable experience with this game. To quote him exactly, or almost exactly, he said, "I never knew basically playing Candy Crush in a game," I think it was Candy Crush, in a board game would be so exciting, because essentially how the game is going to work is you are going to have this little board here, and I'll zoom in on this for you. You are going to have a pattern board, and you're going to have a bag. This is a bag builder as well, and you're going to have these different tokens, and these tokens are going to represent different patterns. And so you're going to put these different tokens out onto your board, and then you're going to have a certain number of actions to move these tokens around, up and down, left and right, to create different patterns, to do moves, gain resources, hack drones and stuff like that, go into new bodies. And man, this is just a phenomenal experience of a game. I did not think I would enjoy this game, and Andrew as well did not think we would enjoy this game as much as we want. I love the drop in and drop out aspect of this game. So you are going to basically start over from scratch every single scenario, but I do love the ability to, I think that makes it so great where you can have people drop in and drop out. So yes, I'm playing this campaign, but I don't have to worry about upgrading anything. You will unlock new cards and stuff like that, but I can have Sierra drop in on scenario number 4 or number 5, and her dropping in is not going to affect the game at all, because we don't have to catch her up with upgrades and stuff like that. She's going to start even with us no matter what. So you can see here 40 to 65 hours of gameplay, 16 scenario, ages 1 to 4. Ages 14 plus. So each scenario, you're going to build out the scenario map. You'll go through the scenario with a little deck of cards. Combat, I love how combat works in this game. Like, enemies are going to attach to you. Just a fantastic production. Awaken Realms Light is the lighter version of Awaken Realms. So this is much higher on my list than Kinfire Chronicles is. I think this is a much easier game to get to the table, a much quicker play time. I love the drop in, drop out. I love the theme of cyberpunk. I do love that pattern and Candy Crush aspect of the game, trying to assemble these different patterns to hack, jump into new bodies. I love all the different bodies they have. Just a if you are into this cyberpunk theme and you love campaign games, this is a must-have in your collection. You will definitely enjoy this. I also have an upgraded acrylic tokens coming from Etsy. Man, there's a lot of great things I really enjoy about Tamashii Chronicles of Ascend here, my fourth favorite game in the collection. Alrighty, moving on to the number 3 here. Number 3, we are getting into the top 3 here. We have Brandon Sanderson, The Reckoners. You will also find another common theme, probably a lot of my games in the top 20. The Reckoners is a 1 to 6 player game, ages 14 plus, around 75 minutes. This is a board game based off Brandon Sanderson's novel, The Reckoners, where these super-powered people are actually the bad guys. And so you have to take them out. Steelheart is the main bad guy. This is a dice chucker, a dice game. But man, I just love the, again, like Marvel, you're starting to see some of this other stuff like superheroes, supervillains. I'm a guy, I love that type of stuff. I relate to that so well. And so having this game where I'm rolling dice and I'm battling these different super villains, I just love it so much. I love the cooperative aspect of the game. I love the overall presentation with the game trays and stuff like that. I do have the upgraded version of this game. So we have the painted minis. I have the I think the dice might be upgraded. I do have the metal components, and man, they just feel fantastic. But yeah, I mean, not a whole lot to the game. Like I said, the main premise is you are rolling these dice. These symbols are going to allow you to take different actions, and essentially the core of the game is you are trying to defeat Steelheart. And so there's a bunch of different level difficulties and setups, and so you're trying to first investigate him, but you got to watch out for his henchmen to fight his henchmen, and there's a lot of other mechanics that you have to try and balance throughout the game. But I really enjoy it. It's a very great cooperative game. I do own the expansion, which I have not even touched yet. But yeah, man, I just love the theme, the vibe, the presentation, the production of the game here. And of course, I love that it is a dice rolling game. But this is my third favorite game in our collection, The Reckoners. All right, number 2, we have all things Dice Throne. Now, I'm using Dice Throne Adventures as the featured Dice Throne content here, but this does include all of the regular Dice Throne. We do own all of the current Dice Throne content up to the Marvel Dice Throne stuff. So all of Season 1, all of Season 2, Santa and Krampus, and Dice Throne Adventures. And essentially, Dice Throne has been called Battle Yahtzee, where you are, and actually I can get this, probably a better version of it. This is the Santa versus Krampus. You are going to have a character leaflet. This character is going to have some dice and a deck of cards. You are rolling these dice. These dice have symbols and numbers on them. And on your character's pamphlet, there's going to be a different combination of these icons or numbers that are going to allow you to do different abilities. And in a normal game, it's a 1v1, or you can play 2v2, or there's like a free-for-all, like 1v1v1, King of the Hill, things like that. You are trying to reduce your opponent's health down to 0. And so you can play cards, upgrade your abilities, and things like that. In Dice Throne Adventures, this is a cooperative version of the game, dungeon crawl cooperative version of the game. But man, look, Dice Throne has a lot of things that I enjoy. It's been called Battle Yahtzee. like I said. Of course, the mechanics of the game, that dice rolling aspect, I do enjoy that. But I also have a very special affinity with Dice Throne. Dice Throne was one of the very first games that me and Sierra got when we were together. And so it was like right before COVID happened. She was visiting me, and I believe a winter storm had hit us. And so basically, we were off from work because we were both teachers. And so we went to a local Barnes and Nobles, and we were looking at stuff to do because, basically we were didn't have to go to work. So we were like, hey, let's look at some board games. And we saw this Dice Throne, and it was actually the very first one we got was the very first season of the Reroll. This was the first one we got, this starter box. We took it home, we played it, and man, we fell in love with it. We went back the next day or maybe the day after that and got the battle number 2, and then we have been in love with Dice Throne ever since. So for me, the reason why this game is really so high up on my list is because of that special affinity of the game, that this was the very first game that started the me and Sierra's collection together, and started our really love together, helped bring out that love of board games for us. So Dice Throne is always going to hold a special affinity in my heart for that. And of course, I do enjoy the Battle Yahtzee type aspect of that. But this is my second favorite game in our collection here. All things Dice Throne, regular Dice Throne, and Dice Throne Adventures. Alright guys, we have made it to number 1, and here we go. My number 1 favorite game in the collection is Terrorscape. Man, there's so much I enjoy and love about Terrorscape. Terrorscape is a one versus many hidden movement game, 30 to 45 minutes, ages 14 plus, 2 to 4 players, where essentially one person is going to be taking on the role of a killer. The other survivors, there's going to be 3 different survivors. So, you can have one person playing 3, 2 people, one person plays 2, one person plays 1, or 3 people playing a 1 survivor each. And the goal of the game is obviously the killer is trying to kill one of these survivors. If he manages to do that, he wins the game. The survivors are trying to go to these different rooms to search for keys or repair a radio. If they find all 5 keys and manage to escape out the front door or the hidden entrance, they are victorious. And if they manage to repair the radio and after 5 turns the police show up, the survivors are victorious as well. And I've talked about Terrorscape a lot on the channel. They've had a new campaign. What I love so much about Terrorscape is it fills such a niche for me. I enjoy, I love hidden movement games. And I love the Dead by Daylight video game, and to me, Terrorscape is Dead by Daylight, the board game to a T. I love the overall presentation of Terrorscape. I love its mechanics of the killer is trying to figure out all this information. The survivors got to find a way to communicate without giving information to the killer. I love how each killer is so unique. I love all the maps. I have all the expansions to the game. I love all the different killers, the way they play. I love the trait cards you can play with as well. I think for me, what really stands out for Terrorscape is it looks like a big production on the table, but it plays so quickly. It says 30 to 45 minutes per play, and that is accurate to a T. Terrorscape is one of those games that it plays so quickly that you are like, man, I want to jump back in. I want to jump back in. I want to jump back in. It plays like you are playing a video game of Dead by Daylight, right? You finish a game, you're like, man, I want to try this killer and try this killer and try this killer, and you're able to get so many plays in of this game in a given night, and you can switch between survivors and killers, and man, it's just it's just a great overall experience. Really, really well done by Ice Makes Games. Just something that I enjoy so much, a hidden movement, one versus many game. I love the production, I love the theme, I love the mechanics. You know, I gave this a 9.5. It was so close to being a 10 out of 10 for me. One of my highest rated game, if not my highest rated game in our entire collection, and obviously it shows for that because it is my #1 game. Always, whenever I got new people over or whenever it's time to play, I want to bust out Terrorscape, because it gives me that Dead by Daylight feel. And I've stopped playing Dead by Daylight because so many people put flashlights in your face, and man, it's very annoying and frustrating trying to play Dead by Daylight online right now. So I'm glad I got Terrorscape to kind of fill that void in that niche for me. But I think this game is just overall great. So many great things about this. This is a game I would say you must have in your collection. A very unique game. And very enjoyable experience as well. But this is my #1, my favorite board game in our collection of 2024, and that is Terrorscape. All right, guys. Well, look, we have made it to the end of the list. I hope you guys enjoyed this top 10 and enjoyed this top 100 series. This is going to be something that I think I'm going to do every summer when we have the time for it, is make a list out. Again, hopefully I can get Sierra to join me on some of these videos. But yeah, anything, as always, guys, if you have any comments about any of these games that you have seen here today, please drop them down in the comments below. Let me know your thoughts and opinions on them. I'm working on getting to all of your responses as well. If you guys enjoyed this content, smash that like button, hit that notification bell, and as always, guys, if you are not subscribed to our channel, please go ahead and subscribe so we keep bringing you some more awesome content. All right, guys, have a great one. Bye.